inspiring me to take on this opportunity. But in this case, let me just clarify, the preaching opportunity is to oneself. So it is going to be for me, not to others. So I wanted to get that out of the picture because Shampul Prabhuji was very, very kind that he set up the expectation so much that suddenly I'm feeling nervous, I'm stuttering, I'm stammering. And see, I forgot what I was going to say next. Yes, so as I'm saying that in this opportunity of preaching is to oneself, not to others. So all of the things that I will be saying, the personal reflections, they're actually going to be for me and not for others, and based on my personal experiences. And Niti Mataji is here. Thank you so much, Mataji, for pushing me lovingly and inspiring me to take on this opportunity. And I thought, what better day to start preaching to oneself, because it's something that I don't do, because I think all the preaching and all the classes that I hear are for other people. मेरे लिए तो है ही नहीं, I'm best. But I think it is high time that I start doing that for myself. And what better occasion, right, to do it on the wonderful occasion of Amalaki Ekadashi, just when Gaura Purnima festival is around the corner, right? Amalaki Ekadashi ki jai. Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. So let us, I am going to, let us start with Jai Radha Madhava to begin. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Rajjanandana focusing on the magical energy, the magical influence that Lord Gauranga had on others and what he did with that influence. So that is what we will be focusing on, and we just glorified all the holy names just as our Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada used to do. We glorified all the holy names by singing Jai Radha Madhava. So just wanted to remind myself of the goal for tonight. So Srila Prabhupada ji wanted us to learn Vedic knowledge, learn the Vedas, learn the Shastras, and take that Vedic wisdom and weave it into our lives. Put a spin on it without changing the essence of what is being taught. That's what he wanted, and he wanted us to practice it so that higher, more positive modes of functioning and consciousness could be created. So that would remain my goal for tonight, and may I never lose sight of that goal ever in my life. And that being said, let me also share something personal. So 2 years back, Gaura Purnima, around that time, the world came to a stop. A small little bizarre virus got the world to a grinding halt. Everything became virtual, right? All the classes we learned, as devotees, we learned to bond with each other through virtual mediums. WhatsApp, we had Zoom calls, we did all of that. And so it was a big adjustment then, to give a class over virtual mediums. We could put post-its, nobody could see it, right? We could read from a phone, nobody could see what we are doing. So this is my first in-person class after a gap of 2 years, and it is also my first class here at this temple. So I really ask everyone to forgive me when I make mistakes. I'm not saying if, please note, I'm saying when I make mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen tonight. I'm very nervous. So I was earlier explaining and expressing that I'm very nervous because of these reasons that I enumerated. And this sweet devotee said, why are you nervous? I said, so many senior Vaishnavas are sitting in front of me, I don't even want to look at them. And Prabhupada is looking at me, staring at me. So she was like, no, actually, you don't have anything to worry. I was like, how is that? And she said, see, you have all these Vaishnavas, senior devotees, sitting in front of you. You have Prabhupada ji looking at you, and guess what? Who's on your side? And I was like, who's on my side? She said, Gaura Nitai is on your side. Look. Yes, tonight they are on my side, because that is something that has never happened here. I'm always sitting there. They are in front of me. So with that uplifting thought, I felt really good, and I said, okay, no more nervousness. Gaura Nitai is indeed on my side, and with that, let me begin the Mangalacharan prayers. Okay? With me, everybody, so far? Haribol, say something.
Haribol!
Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyana Jana Janakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Vishnu Krishnaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Vesha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So I was thinking that we could start with the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, first canto, first chapter already established many important things, getting things out of the way. What's the first thing that they established is Krishna, Lord Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Make no mistake, Lord Krishna and only Lord Krishna. So that was established. Then it also, the Bhagavatam also characterized the age of Kali. How does the age of Kali look like? So in the age of Kali, people are very lazy, quarrelsome, misguided, unlucky, and always disturbed. They're always disturbed. And they're also characterized by short lives. So this also they confirm that. The third aspect is that Srimad Bhagavatam, very intelligent scripture, because not only are they telling you the problem, okay, phas gaye ho aap, you are in the Kali Yuga, you are here because of your past, you wanted to be here, you wanted to enjoy without Krishna, but we'll also give you the solution. So, solution is listening to the transcendental pastime of the Lord is the only way out of Kali Yuga. So, listening to the pastimes of Krishna, whether it is in the form of bhajan, kirtan, holy names, listening is the only way out of this treacherous ocean of Kali Yuga. Dangerous. Fourth one, since the age of Kali is characterized by low intelligence, most of the people will not, they have all these other characteristics, quarrelsome, lazy, low intelligence, inactive. So they said, let's not leave any doubt for people. So they also said that we'll give you guidelines, how to listen. How to listen? So we will see how to listen. What are the guidelines to hear about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord? Okay, with me? So the first one is hearing about the Supreme Lord. Very easy, easy peasy. Hear about the Lord, whether it is a bhajan, pastime, or a holy name. Second, hearing about the Lord with faith and conviction. सिर्फ सुनना नहीं है, हमें faith और conviction के साथ, trust. I'm saying some lines in Hindi because there was a special request from a few devotees that it would be nice if I could sometimes say the major points in Hindi. So accommodating that request. So hearing with faith and conviction. Third one is hearing regularly without prolonged breaks. Hearing regularly, hearing continuously, every day without breaks. Fourth one is not only do you hear about the pastimes, hearing with conviction and faith, and hearing continuously, regularly, but also find ways to relate what you have heard in your everyday life. That's very important, and that's what Prabhupada also said. So this scriptures also confirm that whatever you heard, जो भी आपने सुना है, you try to utilize that in your personal life. Relate to it. Only then Krishna will be so pleased that he will come and stay in your heart. Sounds familiar? Coming, staying in your heart? So any verses that comes to your mind from Bhagavatam? I'm giving you the hint. Any verses? I have chosen Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17. I have chosen this. There are many verses that describe what we have just discussed. But I have chosen this one because it's my favorite. And you can repeat along with me if you like, or you can repeat after. Shrinavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Vidhayantasto hi abhadrani Vidhunoti shruhat satam. One more time. Shrinatam swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Vidhayantasto hi abhadrani Vidhunoti shrahat satam. Translation. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So basically, what it is saying is that Shrinivatam means anybody, anyone who listens to Krishna Katha, whether it is again form of pastimes, kirtan, bhajan, holy names, Shravana Kirtana. Punya is the most pious activity, supremely pious activity, supremely spiritual activity. Hearing about the Lord and glorifying the Lord. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hridayantasto hi abhadrani. Now our heart, it has deeply embedded abhadras. Abhadras is anything inauspicious. And we are talking about lust, greed, anger. All of those things are very, very deeply embedded for several years. It is very difficult to remove that. But if we do Punya Shravana Kirtana, then Hridayantasto hi abhadrani will get purified. Vidhunoti Srihat Satam. Now, Dhunoti means cleaning. So it says here that anyone who listens to Krishna Katha with a sincere heart and glorifies the Lord, all their impurities will become pure and washed away, and Krishna will personally come. He will personally come and clean your heart. I really love this concept, and I had the opportunity to also present on this in my Bhakti Vriksha, and this is such a lovely concept, like Krishna will come. So how does he come? So when we chant and when we hear Krishna Katha, and Krishna enters our ears through transcendental sound vibrations, enters our heart and stays there. That's how he helps clean our heart. And at this point, I just wanted to remind you and reiterate what Shyam Prabhuji just said. He asked about the Shiksha program, right? So, during these holidays and major festivals and holidays, especially in the US, there is like sale, super sale going on. Macy's super sale, Suburban Furniture, Raymore and Flanagan, there's so many sales going on. So here also we have a sale, different kind of a sale, a different kind of an offer. So the Gaura Purnima offer is that you take a vow to take up rounds or chanting, and the reason you do that is because one thing I forgot to tell you is that Krishna is sitting there and personally cleaning your heart, right? So there is a clause to it. The more intense your sadhana, the more intensive deep cleaning you get. How about that? Bumper offer.
Yes.
Offer. So I would encourage all of you to please take vows and please see Shampun Prabhu or any other person that is responsible for this. Please find ways to motivate yourself to take this up because bumper offer chal raha hai, short time. Do it before Gaura Purnima. Hari bol.
Hari bol.
So, to fulfill the desires of devotees, Lord Krishna, since time immemorial, has appeared in various forms, and he comes to fulfill the attachments. Attachments in terms of how if you fulfill the desires of the devotees. Let me put it that way. Let me not make it more confusing. So actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent or the appearance was predicted in 24 different scriptures, and he comes with a golden toned body, and I have just chosen to focus on Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 because since we are on the Bhagavatam, it's easier. So let us recite and you can repeat. I'll recite one time the whole thing and then we can repeat. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasa. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Praye. It basically just means that although his complexion is not blackish, he's Krishna himself. And in this verse, it is confirmed. It was already predicted. We are reading the Bhagavatam now, so we are looking at the past. But at that time, this had not happened. So, I just want to read the translation. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons, Sumedha, Medha means brain and Su means good. So intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So if you see this, and the quality of this picture is not so great, but we removed it from a video. So Krishna appears with a golden complexion. So in the holy land of Mayapur, which has the sacred rivers of Ganga and Jamuna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on 18th February 1486. And he was born to Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. Apparently it was a lunar eclipse. And so it was a lunar eclipse, and also that is the festival that his birthday is what we celebrate as Gaura Purnima, which is coming up. And I was just thinking, as I was thinking and meditating about his birth, the lines from Vasudev Ghosh's bhajan, beautiful bhajan, comes to my mind, and I felt that this presentation wouldn't be good if I don't recite that. So feel free to join me, and anybody wants to give kirtan and mridanga, please feel free to do so, because it is the spirit of Gauranga that we are celebrating. Yadi Gaurana huito, abeki hoito, kemona dhari tare. The translation is, if Lord Gaura had not appeared as the Yugavatara in this age of Kali, then what would have become of us? How could we have tolerated living? Who in this universe would have ever learned about the topmost limits of loving mellows that comprise the glory of Sri Radha? Really, without our Gaura Sundara, how would we know Srimati Radharani's love for Lord Krishna? How would we know that? No, I don't see Neelmani Prabhuji here. I think he doesn't need to know. That's why he missed the class, because he already has Radharani Mataji. So similarly, I see Sri Gadadhar Prabhu laughing a lot. He doesn't need to know. He already knows everything that is to know about Prem Rasa, isn't it? So Mahaprabhu, when he came, he introduced to us the congregational chanting of Lord Krishna's names, and he introduced this as a method to navigate the ocean of Kali that we talked about in the first verse, in the first line. And this, he's saying that chanting the Lord's name in the company of other exalted devotees is the only way to achieve spiritual perfection. That's what he says. And Hindus and Muslims, what was interesting is that as I was reading, I realized that even Hindus and Muslims were chanting together in Nadia. He was influencing everybody. Mahaprabhu, I don't know how he did it. Because if you put yourself in that position, we struggle with everyday communication. And I was thinking that he went and he influenced people, lovingly told people to take up the holy name. Take up the holy name and chant. So apparently the Sankirtan movement, spread so much that it was a household thing in Nadia. While he was propagating this movement, he also attracted many scholars and many acharyas, especially from Bengal and Orissa. Lord Chaitanya is always accompanied by his best associates. You can see in this slide, he is with Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, and Shivas Thakur. They're all doing this together. And we just recently, a month back, celebrated Nityananda Trayodasi here, and Gaura Purnima is coming up. So this picture is very, very, very attractive. So I just went crazy. I put in a lot of slides. Just wanted to look at it and get inspired. So after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also initiated. That's how he got his name, Chaitanya. And this is another picture that I just put in. I just thought it was very beautiful. So what happened was that after he left Puri, he decided to go on a 2-year South India tour. And this is something that I had not known. So I was fortunate enough that during the pandemic, I got my hands upon the book Lord Chaitanya's Pilgrimage, which actually details about all the places that he visited in southern India. So he visited those places for 2 years. And at that time he visited Sri Kurma, Kanchipuram, Sri Rangam, Pakshi Tirtha, Mahabalipuram, Madurai Meenakshi Temple, Kanyakumari, and Udupi. The last one really hit a raw nerve because this is so close to where my grandparents' house is, and it inspired me actually to undertake a trip there last time when I was in India. Sometimes what happens is that you visited those places, but you don't know the history and the significance. You just go there, you watch, you take pictures, prasadam you take, and then you come back. But when you know the significance and what all happened there, and also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. So it was very, very sacred for me. So just sharing that with everybody. Another thing happened is that when Mahaprabhu was on his South India tour, he met somebody named Venkata Bhatta. Venkata Bhatta was a Brahmin, was a devout Brahmin, devotee from the Sri Sampradaya. Sri Sampradaya is a little different from Gaudiya Sampradaya, as in, instead of worshipping Radha Krishna, they worship Lakshmi Narayana deities. That's the difference. The form is different. So Venkat Bhatta actually persuaded Mahaprabhu to stay in his house for 4 months because 4 months of Chaturmas. Chaturmas is the rainy season or the monsoon season. That 4 months the god goes to sleep. So we have Devashayani Ekadashi, and then in Kartik the god wakes up. So in those 4 months, people generally don't want to do auspicious things. So Mahaprabhu was requested by Venkat Bhatta that why don't you stay in our house for 4 months? And Mahaprabhu agreed. The interactions between Mahaprabhu and Venkata Bhatta are very, very nectarian, very, very sweet, and they have been discussed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 9, verses 79 through 165. They describe in details and very, very sweet interactions between them. The Lord Krishna is joking with you. Whenever you see a celebrity, right, somebody that you admire, and they come and they joke with you, they know your name, they ask you your name, and you are like, oh my god, this person knows my name. So I was trying to get into that mode, and I was thinking that Venkat Bhatta also must have felt that, because he stayed, he accepted his invitation, and they used to joke around a lot. Their relationship became very, very nice and they were joking with each other, they would talk with each other, there was a lot of laughing and smiling. And because Venkata Bhatta was a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually was able to describe in detail the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and Radha. And his days in Sri Rangam, I think I missed that part. So Venkat Bhatta actually is a resident of Sri Rangam. That's the part that I missed. So his days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's 4-month stay in Sri Rangam actually was spent with a lot of happiness, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had such a nice relationship with him that he could discuss the detailed pastimes. So that made it was becoming a very nice environment for both of them. Both of them were learning. But we'll see what happens next. So Venkat Bhatta actually, Sri Chaitanya, when he was staying in Venkat Bhatta's house, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would often go to the holy river of Kaveri, which was right there in Sri Rangam, take a bath, and then visit the Sri Ranganatha temple, which was right on the banks of the Kaveri river. And it was such a sight to see the golden toned beauty of Gauranga that people, whenever anybody would see him, they would know that he's not ordinary. And all their anxieties and unhappiness would vanish just like that, just by looking at him. And people would ask him that, why don't you come over to our house for prasadam? Oh, don't we do that also, right? When we like somebody, we want to invite them to our house. And that's exactly what was happening, is that everyone wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to their house to honor prasadam. I thought that was very, very sweet. And also Venkat Bhatta and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also, as I said earlier, developed a very friendly relationship. They would laugh and joke. And since Venkat Bhatta belonged to the Sri Sampradaya, it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have lengthy spiritual discussions. And actually the discussions would be about how it is better to serve Radha and Krishna instead of Lakshmi Narayan. In today's day and age, we feel so scared to even say or reveal our heart about like little things, right? Here they are from two different sampradayas and having a very friendly relationship and discussing which one is better. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji gave a lot of detailed and accounts of how it is, how the pastimes of Krishna has the fun part of it, the naughtiness, which is not there in the other Sri Sampradaya pastimes. That's what he was trying to compare, but while maintaining a very jovial mood. So I thought that was very, very interesting, something for all of us to keep in mind. We'll come back to it later. So I think towards the end, unable to kind of find any counter answer, because he also would argue with him, because there was like a free exchange of ideas, not like he's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so I can't say. There was a mutual exchange of ideas and free exchange of ideas between both these people. And then towards the almost towards the end of the 4 month, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually could not. Actually, not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm sorry. Venkata Bhatta actually could not find any other arguments. So he actually said that he says this, and I want to just read verbatim. I don't want to make it up and lose the essence of it. So, unable to defeat Lord Chaitanya's points, Venkata Bhatta says, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna himself. You know the purpose of your activities, and the person whom you enlighten can also understand your pastimes." He's telling that about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enlightens Venkat Bhatta in all the subtle details of the Lord's most intimate pastimes. Lord Chaitanya then said that there is no difference between the transcendental forms of the Lord. Different forms are manifested due to the different attachments of the different devotees. Actually, the Lord is one, but he appears in different forms just to satisfy his devotees. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said. So this is about the movement from the Lakshmi Narayana to the Radha Krishna. There was another aspect also to it. Does anyone, I'm sure everyone knows, it's a stupid question, but Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Can anyone quickly say, what do we know about him? Yes, that's right. He's one of the illustrious six Goswamis. So Venkat Bhatta had two brothers, and Gopal Bhatta is Venkat Bhatta's 7-year-old son. At that time he was, yes. Was your hand raised?
Yes. I also know that he was, when he was older, he became Lord Chaitanya's personal cook. So even though Lord Chaitanya was picky about what he ate, he would eat anything made out of Gopal Bhatt's hand.
Oh, wonderful. This is something that I had not, I didn't know about it. Thank you for sharing that. What is your name?
Anishi.
Anishi? Thank you so much, Anishi, for sharing that. So, Gopal Bhatta at that time, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited him, Gopal Bhatta was only 7 years old and he was continuously serving Mahaprabhu, and he developed an intense love for him. So, when the 4-month period of Chaturmasya was getting over, Lord Chaitanya asked his host for permission to leave. And at that time, Venkat Bhatta, he couldn't take it. He just fainted. He became unconscious. Faint ho gaye wo. And then, and the little boy had tears in his eyes. So, to please the boy and to honor his wishes, Lord Chaitanya agreed to stay for a few more days. This is another point where I felt that this was so nectarian, because something so familiar, right? Doesn't it happen to any of us, like when we go for long weekends to visit our family, extended family, and oftentimes happens that children have a hard time, separation anxiety, comes in the way. So it does happen that sometimes we also may say, okay, we'll change our plan, one more day we'll stay, okay, to please the child. And this is exactly what is happening in this case as well. Just drawing a parallel. Is everyone with me? Sulato Nevia? So during the time that Mahaprabhu stayed with the extra few days, that time Gopala had a vision. In that vision or dream, actually the Lord revealed himself as Lord Krishna. Mahaprabhu revealed himself as Lord Krishna, and Lord told Gopala that one day he would meet two jewel-like devotees in Vrindavan, and their names would be Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Waking up from that dream, Gopala wanted to leave at once for Vrindavan, but Mahaprabhu told him to stay at home and serve his parents. Being pleased with Gopala's sincere devotion and service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated him and ordered him to move to Vrindavan only after his parents' death. He instructed him to take care and serve his mother and father, and always engage in chanting of the glories of Krishna. Now, as predicted by the vision, young Gopala later went on to Vrindavan and later went on to become one of the 6 Goswamis. Hari Bol. Anybody wants to say anything at this time? Any thoughts, reactions? Should I stop? No. Did you have a question, Anishi? So we move on to, so this is something that I wanted to point out, that in Sri Rangam, there is a small temple to commemorate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited. The 4 months had stayed there, so this is the name of the place. There are footprints. This is in Madras, present day Madras. Footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is a small thing that they have made, like an altar, where there's footprints of his visit there. So if ever you go to Sri Rangam and happen to see this, please remember the pastime. And maybe if it's too much to ask, send me a blessing. Hari Bol. Next, I wanted to focus on Ramananda Raya. Ramananda Raya is another excellent Vaishnava that Mahaprabhu met during his South India tour, and he met Ramananda Raya on the banks of the Godavari. So you see that visual, this is how they met. So for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, this conversation or the interaction that happened between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya actually is like a best standard or the best samvada, because it is full of confidential principles about Gaudiya Vaishnavism. That's why it's very, very sacred. So Chaitanya and Ramananda, their conversations have been recorded in the Madhya Leela, chapter 8. So the previous one was chapter 9, this is chapter 8. So their conversation in Vidyanagar on the bank of the Godavari river details the highest and the most confidential aspects of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So Ramananda Raya was born in Orissa, and he was the 5 sons. He was the eldest of the 5 sons of Bhavananda Raya, and he was posted in that Vidyanagara. Vidyanagara, I think, is modern day Rajamandri, somewhere in the south. But at that time, it was coming under the jurisdiction of Orissa state. So that's why he was there. So Bhavananda's, and he was the governor there. That's important. That's why he was there to take care of those matters. So Bhavananda's home, which is Ramananda Raya's dad, his home was in Alalanath, which is 12 miles away from Jagannath Puri. His family was well-to-do and he was devout. That family also was very devout. So Ramananda was a natural Vaishnava at heart and soul, even though by birth he was a Shudra. He was not a Brahmana like Venkat Bhatta, but we will see how that progresses. So as Ramananda reached adulthood, he served as the governor of a district in Vidyanagara. That time it was part of Orissa, which we already talked about. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Raya on the banks of the Godavari. When Ramananda passed by, he had his entourage, because he was a government official, right? So he had his people around him. So on seeing Mahaprabhu's effulgent form, he actually stopped and to pay obeisances, and they both hugged each other and they embraced each other and they experienced the highest forms of transcendental love. So many, actually it is believed that Ramananda Raya is actually the reincarnation of Vishaka Sakhi and also Ajuni Gopi or Ajunya Gopi, I'm getting the name wrong, and that's why when they meet, they are embracing each other like that. And Vishaka Sakhi is Radharani's very close associate, and that's why this devotional ecstasy is happening between both of them. Mahaprabhu actually at that time expressed a desire to hear about Krishna from Ramananda's pure lips, and he agreed to spend time. And usually we like to hear from the Lord, right? The devotee likes to hear from the Lord. In this situation, it is reversed. Here the Lord is saying, "Tum bolo, I will listen." So very interesting. And Mahaprabhu, when they met, on the river, on the Godavari river bank, Mahaprabhu would ask him questions like, "What is the ultimate goal of life?" So something that even till modern day we may ask and think about, right? What is the goal of my life? What's the purpose of my life? What am I doing here? Do I like this job? These questions come. So this question is asking him already at that time, and he would give like detailed answers. And whatever detailed discussion used to happen, it used to make Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very, very happy. So there's one particular discussion that I would like to read for like 2 minutes, because I don't want to change the essence of it. So I'm reading it directly from the Charitamrita. So all the questions, please note, all the questions are being asked by Mahaprabhu, and the answers are being given by Ramananda Raya. What is the best education? Devotion to Krishna. What is the greatest activity for a living entity? To be the servant of Krishna. What is the supreme wealth? Love of Radha Krishna. What is the greatest unhappiness? To not have the association of Krishna's devotees. What is the highest liberation? Love for Krishna. What is the best song? a song describing the pastimes of Radha Krishna. What is the most auspicious for living entities? The association of devotee of Krishna. What is the only thing we have to remember? Krishna's name, qualities, pastimes. What is the only thing to meditate upon? Sri Ramananda Raya says, the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. This is just an example of how their conversations used to be. Sometimes it used to be very detailed, and sometimes, like how it is shown here, the answers used to be terse one sentence replies. Mahaprabhu would ask questions and he would reply. This went on for several days. And when their talks were nearly complete, Mahaprabhu revealed his divine nature as Radha and Krishna, both appearing together. And here again, Ramananda Raya could not hold himself. He fainted, became unconscious. Everybody is getting unconscious in the pastimes here. But he fell down, he became unconscious. And when he regained his senses, the first thing that he did was he offered spontaneous glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested him to keep confidential the truths of his mysterious identity and appearance, and he also requested Ramananda Raya to transfer to Jagannath Puri, saying that two of them could remain there together and happily pass their time discussing Krishna. Without any delay, Ramananda Raya agreed and he made Puri his headquarters. At this point, I was thinking that did anybody feel any reactions, any responses about what you felt when you heard that samvad, the conversation, the one-line answers? Could any of you relate to anything? We'll come back to that. I felt that it was almost like you are entering, anybody who's reading it, the reader is actually entering that space between them, because you are trying to, it's very easy to understand, follow, Krishna's feet, meditate Krishna's lotus feet and Radha's lotus feet. So I thought that was really nice, and readers got an opportunity to enter that dialogue. That's what I felt. So going further, I just want to, yes.
It made the philosophy succinct, the tattva.
Yes. Did you say the last part?
The tattva was succinct.
Succinct, yes, yes. So thank you for sharing that, Prabhuji.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the succinctness, When you say something so succinct, means it's not beating around the bush.
Yes.
You're going to the heart of the matter and just saying two-word answers. That means there is no ambiguity. There is no need for any further discussion. It's Radha Krishna, that's it. What more is there to talk about? It's not like maybe Radha Krishna, maybe something else, maybe love of Godhead, but maybe some liberation. No. It is love of Godhead, that's it. So that's the terseness and succinctness has a lot of power and value when you want to get to the point, and also when you're decisive about something. So that itself is pretty powerful take home.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing that, because yes, succinctness also is a good indication of clarity, because it's very clear. Thank you for sharing that. So moving on to reflections, I just want to point that the reflections that I'm sharing right now are very personal. They are based on how I viewed these conversations and what I got out of it. Because Srimad Bhagavatam says, and everyone in the Bhakti tradition, we have to integrate. Integrating these teachings is key to Krishna consciousness. If we don't integrate, so this is what I've tried to do for myself. The mic wants to go away. So,
Very faint.
Mike is waiting.
Faint, might be faint.
So, I felt that, throughout the Charitamrita, when I was reading, I don't know if I was able to bring the whole essence here today, but based on what I read at that time, I felt that there was so much focus on genuine relationships. It almost inspired a culture of belonging. Everyone was coming. The Muslims were coming to chant, the Hindus, and they were doing it together. So I felt that he's demonstrating, loving relationships all the time. His interactions with others were full of love, full of compassion and focus. This is something I felt, that the focus on genuine relationships, something that I take out, something that we can learn from Gauranga, and it's inspiring a culture of belonging, creating an inclusive space for people of different faiths. That's what I felt was very, very powerful. He was way ahead of his times. He was already, as far as unity and diversity is concerned, he's already practicing it there. Something that, everyone struggles with, right? All world issues, war, everything is happening because we maybe, things are not being put in place. Businesses and companies are training leaders on how to build a sense of belonging at works. There's so much emphasis on building impactful communities. So this was a research that I thought I would like to put, that when employees and employees or people in general feel excluded, they are less engaged in working with their team, even if it means that their own performance suffers. Meanwhile, when employees feel like they belong, they are much more likely to share ideas, work together, and towards a common goal. This was a study that they published in 2021, and something to think about. And also I felt that the art of interpersonal communication, right? The nectarian pastimes between Mahaprabhu and Venkat Bhatta, full of love, right? And I was thinking that what has happened in today's world, right? Because we are so much distracted by social media, WhatsApp, computer, phones. It's distractive communication, I feel. Just to give an example in my life, right? So sometimes when I see interesting quotes, I send them through WhatsApp to my family members, and I'll write like a couple realizations as to what I liked. And sometimes I don't hear back, and sometimes I have a high schooler at home, so she often sends me to such messages, which is like prolific quotes, right? She often sends me one syllable text. Any idea what that is? One.
K.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, K. And I was like, when I sent you so many realizations, I put so much thought. This is all sent with the thought to build character, right? Because these are exemplary characters. So yes, K, and I've been enlightened that over the years that K is, it is allowed.
K is Krishna.
K is Krishna, yes. We didn't know that. We've given her one more. So I thought that, what have we come to? And then you hear these nectarian pastimes and you feel, oh God, So that's something I think we can learn. We can bring it back into our life. The simplicity, the genuineness.
Power of being succinct.
Yes. And last realization that I wanted to share is that this is also a very good example, right? The movement from Sri Sampradaya to Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it was lovingly done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without offending anybody. How did he do it, right? I know that it's a real struggle for many of us who have jobs in the outside world, right? And we are trying to lead and we are trying to manage something without offending people. Because, so I feel that how did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manage to do it? He stayed in somebody's house, that was a host, and how did he do that? What was that magic that he did? So some lessons, I wish he had written some books on that. That's one thing that I wish for. And this is also something that indirectly I thought of is that just as we cannot eat food without salt, any service that we offer to the Lord without the main ingredients of devotional mood, sincerity and purity of consciousness, it will be substandard. So Gaura Purnima is coming. When you take that vow, please take it with a full devotional mood, lots of sincerity and purity of heart, and make sure that you complete that. And that's what I wanted to say, and I wanted to motivate everyone to do that. One question before I'll take 5 more minutes. Do I have time? So, does anyone know what is the last part of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Yes, yes. So that's the Antya Leela, 20.12. And the first verse, it has everything in it. No? Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. It has everything in it. It has the essence of Sankirtanam, I felt. And I was thinking that different people, different exalted devotees, and even previous reincarnations have given us so much. They have given us bhajans, they have given us poems, they have given us philosophy. Um, for example, Ram, when he appeared as Maryada Purushottam, he gave us the Ramayana, 24,000 verses. Krishna gave us Gita, 700 verses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, most recently, he appeared and he gave us only 8 verses, Shikshashtaka. Shiksha means instruction, Ashtaka means 8. 8 instructions he left for us. He gave us, he didn't give us anything. He didn't write any other books. But yet, if you look at this particular verse, it has everything. It is something that is very relatable. Say I go back to my office and let's see the translation, then it will make more sense. So the first verse actually, does anybody want to recite it? Anybody good at reciting it? I failed. Yes, Prabhuji, please. Cheto Darpanam.
चेतो दर्पण मार्जनं भवमहा दावाग्नि निर्वापणं श्रेय कैरव चंद्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधू जीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम्.
Hare Krishna. So beautiful, right? Even the first line itself, it says that, thank you, Prabhuji, very nice recitation, I learned that. So one of the things that comes to my mind is that, first verse is about cleaning our hearts. There's so many millions of thousands of miles worth of dust, which is embedded on the mirror of our soul. That's what it's saying, right? Darpana. And how many more years it's going to take for us to clean that. So I think the first verse is trying to create that faith so that this thing can be cleaned, and then it goes from Shraddha in the first verse, then it goes to the 8th verse to Prem Rasa, all the way to Prem Rasa. This is something, even if we read the translation, like glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction moon, and it is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So I felt that if we were to put it in simpler words and say that we have to become the best version of ourselves by working on our inner self, do inner work so that we can become the best version of ourselves. If I go and tell this to somebody in my office, easily relatable, anybody can understand. And I feel that that's the spirit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was accessible. Muslims could access him, Hindus could access him, Shudras could access him. You don't have to be a Brahmana. It's easily accessible, and you could easily understand his instructions. This is the spirit of Gauranga, and the one and the only way, according to me, to celebrate Gaura Purnima and celebrate his life, his spirit, and his magical influence is by upholding his principles, his instructions, and following his exemplary character. Agree? So I would like to sing a few lines again. In conclusion, the translation, this is by Lochan Das Thakur, and this is Avatara Sara. I'll just read the translation. O my mind, why don't you worship Sri Gaura Sundara, the crown jewel of all incarnations? You always stay in water, but your thirst is never satiated due to your own past bad activities. So in conclusion, I would like to end this topic by singing these lines. Please join me. as I do so. Avatar Sara Guru Avatara Kinara Bhajili Tare. Avatar Sara Guru Avatara Kinara Bhajili Tare. Kali Devasa Girana Piyasa Apna Karam Tere. Gaur Premanande, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Gauranga ki, Hari Bol.
So thank you very much, Alka Mataji, and another big round of applause and big Hari Bol for Alka Mataji for a very astute class and for preparing very nice.